Good afternoon, fellow ruminators. Welcome back to another session, Rumination with Andrew. And we are just going to have a short video during your lunchtime because lots of things are transpiring in the Jamaican political landscape. And we have to assess these events and these major occurrences. So my topic here this morning, or this afternoon, I should say, is PNP versus JLP. Mark Golding versus Andrew Holness. Who's telling Jamaica the truth? Who's telling Jamaica the truth? Jamaica is at a crossroads, but depending on who you ask, we either or we're either on the rise or the sinking deeper into a crisis. So some people say that we are prosperous, we're doing very well. And on the other side, some people say that we are actually sinking. We are a ship sinking deeper into an ocean of crisis. On one side, Prime Minister Andrew Holness and the JLP are painting a picture of progress, development, and prosperity. On the other hand, Mark Golding and the PNP are warning that inequality is rising, corruption is rampant, and the poor are being left behind. So who's telling the truth? In this video, we seek to break down both narratives, look at the facts, and ask the real questions: which version of Jamaica should you believe? There are two Jamaicans, and perhaps I should say that there are many Jamaicans, but we have to be careful of what narratives we listen to. Now, let me just open up with a clipping from TikTok of this Jamaican who suggested that she was once a PNP, she was once a socialist, that she grew up in that sort of environment where her parents and the community members, for the most part, were socialist and they believed in the PNP and their message. Now, she says that based on her objective analysis, she's now on the side of Dr. Andrew Holness, the JLP, and she's supporting them. And she presents a compelling argument for the reason for which she is supporting that party, the JLP, under the stewardship of, or under the leadership of Dr. Andrew Holness. So let me just pull up her video here and share her statements with you. Quite compelling and eloquent defense of Dr. Andrew Holness led administration.
Born and raised PNP. If you grew up in Jamaica, you understand you either grew up in a PNP household or a JLP household. But I don't know what is going on. I have sensed a shift under Andrew Holness's governance. And I know the PNP people them on the way come to me and everybody will have an opinion, but me not lie. Under Andrew Holness's governance, I have seen so much progress in the country. And as I tell you, I am not a homegrown laborite, I am a homegrown socialist. But when I look at the developments that have been happening in the country over the years that Andrew has been in power, when you talk about buying school bus to the rural roads, now a third urban city has been identified down in St. Elizabeth. When we're talking about Andrew Holness heading up CARICOM, getting the respect of boss leaders like Amir Motley out of Barbados for just his intellect and his vision and his strategy. I already made my video about my experience at PICA and just how they have rehauled and re-engineered certain processes at these government agencies to make the experience more satisfactory for Jamaicans and more efficient. When we think about the investments, Bertree Hill, Pedro Plains, irrigation project, it's like, me not lie, I just feel like there is an energy and there is a momentum. There is just so much optimism in what Jamaica has to offer now more than ever. Jamaica's poverty index being at a historical low. This is like a 50% drop since 2021. So many positive things are happening, and I don't know if us as Jamaicans can truly continue to say is that a contributing factor to a lot of the progress and the momentum that is going on. Reduction in unemployment, free housing for poor people. I don't know, it's pure sensationalism by the media and the party, and there is always room to do more and to do better. But at the same time, I think we can recognize progress and we can celebrate progress, even if it is not perfection. Let me know if I am the only one who has been seeing this progress. And whether you're Labourite or whether you're socialist, can we come to the table as Jamaicans and call a spade a spade?
Now, I think that she sought to do a very important work, and she was not emotional. She was not trying to degrade the other side, the other party, the PNP party, which, according to her, she belonged to, but has decided to leave because she doesn't see the progress under the PNP stewardship as she's seeing under the leadership of Dr. Andrew Holness. Now, so that was a very interesting sort of analysis. She spoke, among other things, the reduction of poverty. She spoke about the fact that our GDP growth, well, the fact is that she thinks that people are prospering, in the sense that there has been a significant decline, over 50% reduction in poverty. But is that true? These are the questions that we have to ask. And who measured that? And what were their measuring stick in terms, what was the measuring stick? I shouldn't say what was the measuring stick? What methodologies did they use to arrive at that conclusion that we have seen, dramatic decline in poverty, in the rate of poverty in Jamaica? Now, we also talk about, we have spoken about the program. That is what the government has given in terms of its official data, in terms of the reduction in the unemployment rate, and that the unemployment rate is also at a historic low. They talk about the excellent macroeconomic fundamentals that we're seeing. So, and as she suggested, there are housing projects being worked on and being given to people, even though guess who paid for the housing? The people, right? The taxpayers' money that they're using. So, we're not definitely getting any goodies from them. However, we must say, and I'm sure that's what she's thinking, that even though it's taxpayers' money, but the government has not been, kind to give to poor people housing over the last decade or so, or many decades, I should say. So, she's suggesting that under Dr. Andrew Holness, he's doing that. Now, it's a very interesting comment that she's making in light of the fact that I'm seeing many debates going on social media with regard to the stewardship of Dr. Andrew Holness in comparison to what the PNP did when they were in office. I did also present to you, or I might not have yet presented to you, but I understand maybe this evening when I present my other video, I will mention that, or perhaps tomorrow when I publish another video. But I did mention in my video, which I have not yet published, with Dr. well, not with, but about Dr. Anthony Anderson's appointment as Jamaica's ambassador to the United States, and the fact that he did a sit-down interview with the Gleaner in which he mentioned that, well, he didn't mention that, but I think I'm doing so many things here right now. I did read, I did not see it, I did not hear it, I did not learn about it on that interview, but I did read that, or ChatGPT, not that I read it, but ChatGPT, I asked ChatGPT what is the primary surplus that Jamaica is running with the International Monetary Fund, and I learned that it stands at 6.5 presently. Remember now that when the PNP started out, we were running a primary surplus of 7.5. And then by the time the JLP came into office in 2016, we were running a primary surplus of 7. Now we are running a primary surplus of 6.5. So it means, therefore, that Andrew Holness has some amount of fiscal space. It might translate into billions of dollars in terms of what he can do. So Dr. Andrew Holness is using, the wiggle room that he has now with International Monetary Fund. And I say that, very carefully, very cautiously, because, ChatGPT did mention that, and I did ask, I prompted ChatGPT, not that they mentioned it, but I prompted them to answer that question, that if a government decides to recklessly use the wiggle room that the IMF has given to it, can the primary surplus be increased again? And ChatGPT did say yes. So it depends on how Andrew Holness is using the wiggle room that has been given to the government at the current moment. But the fact of the matter is that if he recklessly uses and increases the debt, it means therefore that we can go right back to rock bottom, if you will. So that is what we have to be careful about. Well, the good thing about it is that he's building some infrastructure. But when I opened the Gleaner this morning, there were some stories coming out, the narratives, I should say, from different sides of the political spectrum. Now, the title of the article this morning in the Jamaica Gleaner was "Remember Holness's Goodness, Mackenzie begs Labour rights as polls near." Okay, so we have declaring that Prime Minister Andrew Holness could have been serving elsewhere in the world. Jamaica Labour Party Deputy Leader Desmond Mackenzie is urging his supporters to remember the goodness of the Prime Minister in managing the country when they vote. What goodness is he talking about? Isn't it a service that he should be rendering? Do we talk about the goodness of our teachers when they have, students to read? They teach students who perhaps were way below their grade level, right? And that they could have been in another place. Yet we're talking about the Prime Minister who is earning a reasonable salary and has access to immense state resources for both his personal enrichment, but yet we are speaking as if Desmond Mackenzie is speaking down to the Jamaican people as if Dr. Andrew Holness is doing the people a service, a good deed, right? When he should be rendering a service to them based on the mandate that they have given to him, even though they didn't really. But that is what people think. And the fact that he's using taxpayers' money. So he's not giving the people any goodies. Desmond Mackenzie, get your act together, sir. While speaking to Labour rights in St Andrew, Northwestern, at a constituency meeting on the weekend, Mackenzie said the achievements of the JLP and the work of Holness cannot be challenged or discredited. But he said some are actively seeking to question and undermine the work and success of the ruling party, which he described as the best since 1944. But when he suggests that it cannot be questioned and challenged, what does he mean? I think anybody's work can be questioned and challenged, right? Yeah, even the truth can be questioned and challenged. I mean, we hope that it is not, but it can be challenged and questioned. Okay, so I think that that is out of order for him to be saying that, because you have an opposition and they can challenge Andrew Holness, provided that they are speaking the truth. And even if they're not, that is the whole system of what we define as modern democracy. Now, listen to what Desmond Mackenzie says about Andrew Holness, who is, I think, now 51, 52. He's a young man who could have gone elsewhere, but decided that Jamaica is important. I wonder where he could have gone. All of us here tonight, every single Labourite, those of you here at Sherlock, those of you watching and those listening wherever you are, you must remember the goodness of Andrew Holness and the Jamaica Labour Party since 2016. Now, yes, he could have gone abroad. He could have gone to Canada. He could have gone to the United States. He could have gone wherever he wanted to have gone. But would he have that access to power and the access to state resources to have enriched him and to have him live in the mansion that he's living in right now and to, be decorated with all the titles that he's currently decorated as the most honorable Dr. Andrew Holness? I don't think so. I don't think so. So the fact of the matter is that Jamaica has done him well. America would not have done him that well. Jamaica has done Dr. Andrew Holness very well. So he should be the one to thank Jamaica and its people for the sort of, importance that it has bestowed upon him. Okay? He said that this is now Damon McKenzie continuing to speak. He said that the party can stand on its achievement without engaging in a back and forth with the opposition People's National Party, whose argument he sought to rubbish about the JLP using state resources to pay for campaign advertisements. McKenzie said that he, as a Minister of Local Government, has a right to inform the population about the achievements of his ministry. It is my responsibility. PNP is not going to talk about it. And when we go out there to work, we don't mix the politics with government work, he said. And surely it is his right as a government official and as a representative of the incumbent government to speak about the decorated achievements, the glowing achievements of the current party. Absolutely. That is his right to do so. However, it is not his right, however, to suggest that the opposition and other independent minds cannot challenge Dr. Andrew Holness's leadership and his achievements. We can, and there are people who are doing it. Mr. McKenzie, may I remind you, sir, they don't want us to tell the Jamaican people about the performance of the government of Dr. Andrew Holness, the minister said. Well, don't they? In a statement earlier this month, the PNP they are now giving us another narrative. And for this reason, I've entitled my video PNP versus PNP barcoding, and whose narrative should we believe? Who is telling the truth? In a statement earlier this month, the PNP alleged that the Holness-led administration was using government resources to fund what it described as vulgar, self-serving political propaganda disguised as public service announcements. And I've been hearing that is what is happening in Jamaica, and that there are lots of public service announcements and advertisements and billboards. We have to tone it down, because I understand that the teachers are not able, and public servants in general, to get more than 7.5% increase in their wages. And they are upset with that sort of offer, having had wage freeze for many years because of the strictures of the structural adjustment program of the IMF. Okay? So we have to be very careful of how we are, plowing monies into electioneering and politicking. Because at the end of the day, the electioneering and the politicking are going to end, but the people's lives continue. Okay, so very important that we understand that, and Jamaicans should be alert and should also ensure that politicians use the public resources in a very responsible manner. Very important that we understand that. Make sure that you like and you share and you subscribe. Please like the video so the videos can be shared with as many people on the platform. Be sure to leave a thoughtful comment at the end of the video. Opposition spokesperson on information, Nikisha Burchell, argued that it is a blatant misuse of public funds by the JLP, pointing to a growing number of what she called campaign-style advertisements across media platforms that are being paid for by government ministries, including the Office of the Prime Minister, the Ministry of Health, and the Ministry of Local Government. And we also understand that they pay social influencers on social media to promote the party. This is not just vulgar, it is corruption in plain sight, Burchell said. Public funds are being hijacked while Jamaicans are being starved of the essential services they've already paid for through their taxes. And that is true to some extent. We can't knock her for saying that. Burchell slammed the government's reckless spending on political ads, noting that thousands of public sector workers remain unpaid for earned benefits such as mileage, uniform allowances, and salary increases or increments. Now, this is what we want our opposition party to do. And we want them to present more data, though, to back up what they're saying, to corroborate what they're saying. Very important that the PNP does this. And I was listening to Marky G, and that is why I know the election is almost here. And yes, I said a snap election because election date is not yet known. What month, what day is not yet known. And that is why it's a snap, and that is why we're clamoring for fixed election dates to be enmeshed and to be placed permanently into our constitution. so that the politicians are not going to play any games, psychological games with our people. Because people will understand the anxiety that comes every year with politics and the politicking and the electioneering and the pressure that people are constantly bombarded with advertisements and billboards. And it is too much for people. And at the end of the day, nothing really changes fundamentally. Okay? She continues to say that is Burchell, Nikisha Burchell. It is disgraceful, I think, important that while public servants are being told there's no money for their legitimate claims, the government finds millions to plaster Andrew Holness across billboards and airwaves, she said. The PNP spokesperson also argued that there are ongoing crises affecting everyday Jamaicans, including delayed or missing pension payments, under-equipped hospitals, and frontline health workers forced to operate under dangerous conditions. And this is true. These are facts. If you go on the ground, you'll see that. Pensioners are waiting, hospitals are begging, workers are suffering, but instead of addressing these needs, the Prime Minister is feeding the JLP's election machine with taxpayers' money. Burchell warned that this abuse of public trust cannot go unchallenged. Jamaicans are not fools. They know what's happening. This isn't leadership. It's desperation dressed up in photo ops and ads. Public funds are for public service, not political survival. And she's right. She's spot on, and we should applaud her. The only problem is that they do it the same thing. When they come back into power, if they do, the PNP that is, they're going to do the same thing electioneering, comes election time, they're going to be politicking, and they're going to tell the people what they want to hear, as opposed to the reality. And this is the circular games that they continue to play with the people. Now, we have to wake up to understand that both political parties have been lying to Jamaica. Now, yes, when they're in the opposition as the PNP are right now, they can afford to speak some amount of truth or a great amount of truth. However, when they do get into power, then they are the ones now who spread the official propaganda and the lies and the deceits, which Jamaicans often drink, and they don't care. We don't care. We just want to ensure that Marky G have to win and Andrew Holness have to win. Mr. They have to win. My boy have to win. And that is what you are concerned about. You're not concerned about the permanent and the long-term development of the human resources and the physical resources in Jamaica. You're not concerned about that. Had you been concerned, you would be addressing these situations and you would be protesting and say that it's important now that the government deals with the high cost of living, the high cost of groceries. And I end the video right now, looking at Miss Bev. Miss Bev, who is a famous, and I've invited her on my podcast. I'm not sure if she received my message on her video. I'm not able to communicate with her via email. Those of you who might know her email address, could you send it to me? Miss Bev's email address, because she's decided, having lived in Jamaica for a year, and she is, or was at the time, a returning resident. She's a returning resident. And she went to Jamaica because she yearned for the island of her birth, her home country, and she thought that she could have settled there, only to go there to understand that the realities that confront modern Jamaica are so much different than the realities of her time. Even though Jamaica was poorer, I'm sure, well, I wouldn't say poorer, but we had a better quality of life. It looked poorer. It looked poorer on the surface, but maybe it was not poor. Maybe it was richer at that time because we had agriculture and we had some amount of domestic entrepreneurs. Now, all of that has been totally eradicated by successive governments under the PNP and the JLP. I was watching a video done by Jamaica Irie. Is Jamaica with Irie or Jamaica whatever Irie? The Ukrainian lady that lives in Jamaica. And she did an interview with this organic farmer in Stony Hill. And he was telling us that the government is not allowing farmers to bring in organic seeds, right? It's all these GMO seeds because it's all of this farming that they're talking about and agriculture that they're talking about is for the global elites. It's not to enrich Jamaica. This agribusiness that they're talking about is not agriculture in the true sense of the word. So when they're telling you that they're getting your lands and stuff like that, it's not to really feed you, it's to feed Bill Gates' pockets. That is what it is there to do. Okay, that is what it is there to do. And don't tell me now that Andrew Holness is not doing the bidding of Bill Gates. Because, I think before he won the election or after he had won the election in 2016, that he was in England and all about with Bill Gates. He was, donning a picture with Bill Gates. And these people are not people who mean Jamaican or Jamaicans well. Okay, so Miss Bev is back now in the US. She decides that she can't live there because of the high cost of living, the social problems, the ubiquitous social problems. Now, when she was speaking great of Jamaicans, you all subscribed to her channel and everything was fine and dandy. And now that she is speaking the truth, you are attacking her. And she has to be coming on, posting lots of videos defending her cause. Miss Bev, you don't have to defend anything. The truth will defend you. People will talk about you and they'll call you all sorts of names. They do with me. But at the end of the day, you should be able to go to your bed. Whether or not people listen to you, whether or not they want to say all manners of evil against you, rejoice and be exceedingly glad, because great is your reward in heaven. Your reward will not oftentimes be on earth for, unpacking truths. We saw that with Marcus Mosiah Garvey. We saw that with Jesus himself, the God-man on earth, that he was murdered for speaking the truth. So the truth is never something that is accepted by the majority. And somebody wrote me a message yesterday on my video that I published on Mia Mottley and the fact that she's running Barbados into a dictatorship. And that interview was done with Marcia Weeks. Make sure that you go over to the channel right now and you watch my latest video on Is Barbados Becoming an Autocratic and Authoritarian Society, my interview and the lessons that Jamaicans can learn about, getting into that. And that lady that spoke about, Andrew Holness having this great intellect and the fact that he's respected by Mia Mottley and, because he's now the chairman of CARICOM, but that is something that they, that they rotate. So it's not like something is great about Andrew Holness's leadership. It's that this is his moment to shine. Next is going to be somebody else in the Caribbean. No, there's nothing particularly great about being the chairperson or the chairman of CARICOM. Now, and being respected by Mia Mottley. Nothing great about that. Okay, because if you know who she is, then you would understand that perhaps you would not want to be recognized by her. And we hope that she will eventually change and she will see the folly of what she's doing and repent of her deeds, because we ought not to disrespect our leaders. We ought to respect them. That's the biblical injunction. But we ought to unpack truth and say who they are, but respect them, pray for them, and hope that they will change. Pray for them because they can change. Nebuchadnezzar, who was a dictator, who threw the 3 Hebrew boys into the fire, he became a man of God. Nebuchadnezzar, one of the greatest dictators in world history during the Babylonian period, eventually wound up becoming a man of God and spoke highly of the Most High. So let's not forget our leaders. Let's pray for Andrew Holness. Let's pray for Marky G while critiquing the things that they're doing, because we are also not speaking on behalf of ourselves, but we're speaking on behalf of those people who do not have any voice and who can't understand, who don't have the ability to understand and to dissect what is happening on the political landscape. That's my job. I hope that I am doing a great job of it. You need to support it as best as you can. And remember now that you can send your contributions to PayPal. You want your contributions, Andy_Tucker_450 @hotmail.com. Thank you so much for joining. I hope that you like, share, and subscribe. See you in another video. Hasta luego. Ciao.